And to Ululani, normally in political media coverage, we only see the business side of the candidates. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First of all, I'm Ululani Beirne, candidate for the 47th District House of Representatives. I've lived in Kahana Valley for all my life, so you would say that I'm a Keiki o Ka'aina, and I've raised my family there. We can claim for at least 6 to 7 generations in Kahana Valley, so long-time residents of this Ko'olauloa Moku.
Can you share with us something about your favorite music, book, or recent adventures you have?
Well, favorite music, I have lots. I like to listen to Hawaiian music. I like cowboy music. The books that I have is many. I enjoy reading a lot of Native Hawaiian books about the history of Hawaii. And so I don't have any particular favorite one because my bookshelves are filled with all kinds of books. I love to read.
What one or two words can you say is your favorite value?
My favorite value, that would be our cultural values of aloha, kuleana, malama'aina. Those were the kinds of cultural values that I was raised with.
We are too young to vote, but would like to influence leaders that have the power to help us have more enrichment or better education. In your student days, what enrichment experiments did you have in art, in sports, or music?
In arts, in sports, in music. Well, I love music, so anytime I had a chance to, I would join the choir. And of course, sports, I was athletic director for Makiki Ward for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for quite a while, so I love sports. I swam in a lot of the races to influence a lot of those that worked with us. And I was with them for quite a while, so I love being involved with sports. But most of all, you know, being from Kahana Valley, we have a lot of things that we do in Kahana that would perpetuate culture.
What do the Keiki need the most in Ko'olauloa and in the islands?
What do the Keiki need the most? I think that the Keikis need a good education. First and foremost, they need a good education. And as long as our schools are funded properly, you know, they'll always get that. And of course, if we have the best of teachers in our Ko'olauloa Moku, that helps. And so we look forward to training more teachers. We receive a lot of the new teachers that come to our district in Kahana Valley. And so we have, for the last 5 years, gone through teachers' orientation program in Kahana where we bring them in and we show them all about the culture. We teach them about aloha and about how to take care of the land base. And most of all, how to be good teachers in teaching our keiki.
Thank you, Auntie Ululani, for letting us ask you some questions.
You're welcome.
What kind of skills do you need, and what kind of experiences do you have?
You mean politically or as a woman?
Politically.
Politically, okay. Well, you know, I started getting involved with politics some time ago when the Ahupa of Kahana was condemned way back in 1965. And then in 1972, coming back from the mainland, I was asked by my father to carry on all those things that we needed to in Kahana. That meant that we needed to help with master planning for Kahana. We had to, you know, look at the environmental impact statement and all of those things before they went into any sort of development for Kahana. So I started way back then, and then there was a time that everyone in Kahana was to be evicted from Kahana because the state had lots of plans. So then I got really involved. I'd go down to the legislative body and see how our legislators could help us. And I started learning how to lobby the legislative body, the senators and the House of Representatives. And pretty soon, you know, they were asking me to run for office. And so I learned on the, you know, firsthand by trying to address the concerns of my community, and that's how I got involved. And then later on, being out of school for nearly 30 years, I went back to school, started at Winard Community College, got my associates in liberal arts, then I went up to the University of Hawaii, got my bachelor's in Hawaiian studies, and then I got my master's in urban and regional planning, which made me really pay attention to the land tenure laws of Hawaii. So that's where I got my experience and my start, because that's been a long time.
Can you name a couple of our community's most pressing challenges, and what would you like to resolve this if you had the power?
Okay, well, you know, starting from with the 47th district now, you know, with the redistricting in our area, it goes from Waiahole Stream all the way to Waialua. So within that district, there's a lot of challenges. Waiahole Valley has some challenges now because they're on state leases. They have agriculture leases and they have residential leases, but some of those leases are winding down now. So we've got to, you know, work with the farmers there that maybe no longer would qualify to be a lessee. Then you come to Kahana, where we have leases that are under the state of Hawaii, under the Department of Land and Natural Resources. If you come further down, we have the Envision Laie plan, and they're doing a wonderful job doing the planning for Laie. However, you know, being such a great project out there, you know, they want to build like over 1,000-something homes in a 30-year span, and they were just approved for 875. I have concerns about the amount of homes to be built in our areas with a 2-lane highway, because the Department of Transportation hasn't come out with any mitigating kinds of measures how we're going to deal with traffic. And if you live in this area like I do, you know that we have a lot of accidents in our areas also. So we've got to be very, very careful with the expansion of, you know, a big project like that in Laie, how it would affect our traffic. Then if you come down to Turtle Bay, they want to do some expansion too in Turtle Bay. So, you know, we're concerned about that. You know, in Hawaii, they're not really business friendly. So a lot of times we had investors come in that they invest in land, you know, whether it be at Gunstock Ranch, where the Church of Jesus Christ is trying to expand out there, but also in Turtle Bay, where they invest to buy the property, and they find out that they have to go through all this permitting process in order to build. And once they get that, then they got to deal with the community, especially those of us that are in environmental issues, that we want to be able to save the land, save the coastal zone, you know, the coastal areas, and talk about all those things on how we're going to manage if they come in to that area. And then if you go all the way down the coastline to Waialua, we have some development out that side with the Haleiwa District Park there, right across, where lands was taken just like Kahana Valley. They were condemned by eminent domain and taken away so that they could build a park. But they didn't do it all these years. And so now they're looking at private people coming in and taking hold of it. You know, so we have all these different kind of issues that we want to deal with. And last night, I attended the North Shore Neighborhood Board, and everybody's concerned about the wind farms, you know, above Waimea, the wind farms. And so we have those concerns too, because they don't look so good, and yet we want to be able to support alternative energy. Thank you.
For the last few months, our biggest challenge to education is losing so much time every day waiting for a bus since the schedule was drastically cut. What do you think is the solution for restoring our buses?
Well, you know, the bus system, they say in our neighborhood board meetings that it was being cut because the funding needed to go to the rail project. You know, the rail is still going to be a hot subject during the legislative process. Even though the rail won't affect us here in the Ko'olaulomoku, but I think that the representatives that have been coming out, they're going to try to see how they can restore that bus system so that everybody's happy again. You know, sometimes they do that just when the legislative session is going to go in. They start cutting this program and that services and this services. So it'll kind of, you know, give the people something to, you know, to fight for. And so that's kind of where it's at. I think they're going to restore everything for all of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Good questions.
Thank you.
Good questions. You're welcome. It's okay. Give me another. Got it?
Oh no, because the red line was there, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Put your bus.
So I just asked her the question, right? Just jump right to the question.
It's good to when you need an adult to always give something back. She's giving her time. So what always we kind of thank her. So say your name and why you want to.
Hi, I'm Anahel.
Hi. Wait.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hi, I'm Anahel, and thank you for taking up your time to come here to Film Club.
Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. In a down economy, what are some ways to help education?
What are the ways to help education in a down economy? Well, I think first and foremost, education needs funding, lots of funding. And with the Windward District out here, the Windward Unit of the Department of Education, they go by this matrix. They have this matrix and they kind of plug in what each school needs as far as funding. So when it's Kahuku's turn, Kahuku always deals with flooding, out in this area. So hopefully funding will be set aside for that. But more importantly, monies from the budget should be always set aside so that our students might have a good education, a better education, that they might be able to be prepared to go on to college and get a higher degree so that they can prepare themselves to find better jobs. So education is very important.
Okay. For many kids, the richest learning comes from their elders or kupuna. What do you think the kupuna can do to help our other education learning, like social studies or math?
Well, I think when the kupunas are placed in the classroom, students are able to learn if they listen really well, because the kupuna not only knows about culture, the kupuna knows everything about social studies, mathematics, anything that you want to know about, about life itself. The kupunas can teach you, and that's because they've been around for quite a while, like myself. You can refer to me as a kupuna because I'll get out there and do what I have to and try to make use of my expertise and share it, not only with the keiki, but also other groups that come to us to learn about those values that they need to learn. As an example, I have a granddaughter that's going to the Brigham Young University, and she's majoring in social work. And I said, why do you want to do that? All you have to do is go across the street and see your auntie. She's a social worker in itself because she helps everybody that has a need. And so that's the work of a kupuna. Where you need it, that's where you are. And you give help everywhere you can. Thank
you. Currently, there's no youth community center from Kahalu to Waimea. What could be the best location so most students could feel benefit?
You can come to Kahana. We don't have a youth center, but we do hands-on projects. We do work on the restoration of Huilo Fish Pond. We do lo'i, cleaning in the lo'i and replanting kalo. And we do all kinds of stuff in Kahana Valley, and for our youth as well. They teach cultural kinds of programs, like what you see at the Polynesian Culture Center. The only thing is, this is us in the community teaching others. And so we not only have groups from down this area, we have schools that come in, the University of Hawaii, the Hawaiian Studies program, we have the anthropology classes that come, and so we have a lot of different schools that come in as well. And then we have the Hawaiian immersion schools that also come in and try to learn from our kupunas in the valley. But yeah, it's a learning classroom. However, now if we got some funding, we could build a recreational center with a certified kitchen and open up a youth center in Kahana Valley, or any community for that matter. We need the funding. So, a lot of our youth depend a lot on the services that Brigham Young University provides, because they have a lot of different activities going on. But our smaller communities, we stay bonded, and we try to support one another all the way down the coastline. And so it makes it fun. It makes it fun. Yeah.
So how do you think what do you think we could do to try and get those fundings for the school?
Well, I got to really work hard. If I'm elected, I have to really work hard to get the funding for our district that is needed. If I'm lucky to be on a finance committee like others that have served, you know, maybe we could, you know, tap into some of the funding that is needed for our area. But there's so many things, you know. Education is really important, especially for our Keiki here at Kahuku High School. But there are many issues in this area. Some of the important issues that we have been talking about really is, you know, our Keiki need to learn about coastal zone management as well, you know, how we manage our resources in the ocean as well as our water resources. You know, we have to learn how to conserve water and all of those kind of things. And more importantly, you know, as we live in this area, we got to continue to look for funding to keep Kahuku Hospital going. Because in case our Keikis need medical services, that would be always available to them. So there's a lot of things besides just a youth center, everything that surrounds it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Ululani, would you pass it over here?
Sure. Now for the PowerPoint. Huh?
No, it's just, they have to get the box, so thank you.
Good questions.
Good job.
Auntie Ululani, the kids wrote these questions. How do you think they're doing? This is a 95% totally student-run production, and the reporters, the directors, the sound designers, the director over there is Joachim. He was the president of the Film Club last year. How do you think they're doing so far?
I think they're doing very well. I mean, the questions were excellent questions. You know, if I went a little, you know, if I extended a little bit, you know, I gave you more food for thought, that some of the questions that were asked would lead into an education process for you, you know, but I think they're doing real well. Your cameramen and everything, the crew is very well done.
And
Thank
that's
you.
Kimmo there. He's our floor director, but he's also the president of our film club.
Very good.
What do you think are some accomplishments you're most proud of?
What do I think I'm proud of? Well, first of all, I'm proud to be a mother, then a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. And so, you know, as I had mentioned, you know, I had been out of school for 30 years. I'm retired from the outrigger chain, so, you know, after 25 years, I was in tourism for a long time. So people that work out at the Polynesian Culture Center, the students and what have you, they're all in tourism. Well, I used to drive all the way from Kahana all the way to Waikiki, so I knew every spot in Waikiki. You know, and I'm proud to say that I have 25 years in tourism. So after doing that for many years, I decided to go back to school, and all of my children were given an opportunity to go to school, and I'm glad that I did, because, you know, knowledge is very important, and once you obtain it, nobody can take it away from you. And so that we received many groups in Kahana. You know, I don't read by script. I tell them the history of Kahana, it's all in my heart, all in my head, and so, you know, I'd like to do that, you know, even as an elected legislator, if I have an opportunity to serve again. I did serve in 1992 to 94, way back then, 20 years. And this is not my first run, by the way. I ran about 4 different times. And I also ran for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And so I stay in tune, you know, with a lot of things that are going on. I'm president of Ko'olaulo Hawaiian Civic Club. I serve on the Kahana Planning Council. I've been appointed by 3 different governors to sit on council. So, you know, I've been involved with issues even though I wasn't in office. So I think if I had a message at all to the students here, you know, get involved when you're old enough to be involved or want to participate. Climb on board commissions, boards, and whatnot. It'll keep you alert, keep you issue-oriented, and, you know, it's all about service. This is all about service. My candidacy, again, this time is all about service. And I'm not only centered in Laie. I'm centered from the beginning of the district and all the way down to the end. I mean, you know, I've practically made every North Shore Neighborhood Board, Ko'olaulo Neighborhood Board, and Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board, and try to catch some of the meetings in between from Ka'ava, Kahana, Punalu, Hau'ula, and all the way down. So in order for you to know the issues, you got to give up your time, and the whole intention is for you to serve. So, you know, I'm not out there waving just because I want recognition. I'd like an opportunity to serve my community again. And so that's why I do it.
Well, it sounds like you're really good at time management. That's a very long list of accomplishments. And we were interviewing, these kids were interviewing the Kahuku football team. And you know what almost every first stringer says? It's not about just the football, it's about time management. So it's interesting that you're that accomplished. Who, do you remember as a young child who inspired you to work harder and get things done and manage your time and manage?
My dad. My dad. So the name that you see, Beirne, it's my maiden name. It's my maiden name. And so my dad was one half Irish and one half Hawaiian, and he was chief petty officer in the Navy, and everything was in order. Everything was in order, and we had to set goals very, very young on what we wanted to do, and so I was depended on a lot. You know, I have just one brother, and he chose to live on the mainland for the last 40 years. So you might say I became the second son to you know, have ownership of the family name. And so when I'm out there holding the sign, it's not only for me, but it's a family name. It's all about family and identifying with your roots. And so if you will, my grandfather came from Roscommon, Ireland, came over here and married my grandmother, who was pure Hawaiian. So Dad was 6'2" and very howly. You know, so when people say, well, you always fighting for Native Hawaiian kinds of things, certainly. But I am that bridge between our Native Hawaiian people and the rest of the world. That's how I feel.
What do you want for the kids in just simple terms?
Well, I'd like for the kids to get a real solid education, because it's so important for them to have those teachers that will fill their needs, so that when they get out of school, they might have a desire to go on to higher education. In our Ko'olaula Hawaiian Civic Club, we fundraise a lot to provide scholarships. So every year, we provide at least 7-8 scholarships for our students. So hopefully some of those students that are Native Hawaiians might funnel in to get some of that funding. But I would encourage our students to, you know, study hard, work hard, get good grades, and go on to college, because without a college degree today, it's very, very difficult to make ends meet.
Well, the last question, there's two, but the last question you may have answered, you may want to add it, but you said, if you had a moment to talk to kids in Ko'olaula, what advice would you give them about being successful, not only in politics, but in life, or not only as a mother, but as a leader in the community? You talked about what you learned from your father about goal setting, about time management. You talked about service. Is there any other advice that you would have for these reporters?
Well, you know, I'd really say to the kids, stay clean, because in our society today, there's so much drugs going on, and a lot of our kids get affected. You know, if you think that they're your friend when they offer you any type of drugs, they're not. So keep yourselves clean, keep your minds clean, and do the best you can to live a fruitful life. And by that I mean, you know, if parents counsel their children and give them good counsel to stay on the straight and narrow, it's for purpose. It's for purpose so that they might be able to walk the straight and narrow in a manner that is pleasing, not only to them and to their parents, but to our Maker, to Father in heaven, that created the heavens and the earth and everything around us. And that's my answer. Like I said, this is not my first race. I remember way back then in 1990, I was finishing up trying to get my master's, and I said, oh, I just got my paper to write, you know, my area of concentration, I'm going to do it. It says, but you know what? I think I'll run for office now, because I was lobbying so much. And so I drew papers and I ran for office, and Red Bellinger was in at that time. And so, and I think Colleen jumped aboard that time. But anyway, I lost. And then I ran again and I won. So, you know, it all depends. You know, you got to be committed. Need to be committed and never give up. If that's what your dreams are and that's what your goals are, no matter how old you get, this is, you know, I'm not as young as I used to be, but you know what? I'm still very much issue-oriented, and the whole moku, not just one particular area. You know, it's very broad. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you on behalf of the Film Club kids and the school, Donna Lindsay, for you spending your time. You seem like you have so much to offer as a candidate and as a kupuna. Would you mind if these guys ever came and just did a little story about Auntie Ululani, the kupuna of Kana Valley?
Be my guest. Be my guest. I'd welcome that very much so.
Aloha.
Aloha.